All right. Well, good morning. Okay. So today we're going to do a tutorial how to use the weathering powder to weather and rust cars, age them. So before we start that, this show today, this tutorial is brought to you today by Simpleman Mustang Diecast, who recommended I do a tutorial. I thought I did one several years ago, so that's why I didn't do one yet. I just did the cars because I assumed that I already did one, because I've done like 300 videos since I started this channel, just about 300, I think. And it's hard, especially being an old man, to remember every single video I've done. I can't even remember what I had for supper last night half the time. So anyways, Simpleman Mustang Diecast was like, hey man, you really should do a tutorial. And so I checked my back or my catalog of videos and saw that I didn't have one. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do one. So yesterday I went and I weathered 3 vehicles and shot it all in front of the camera and did a great job, except half the video ended up basically, I ended up scrapping the video because I was holding, I didn't have the camera adjusted properly, and all the work I was doing was up here. So you could only see from here down. So hopefully today I corrected that, and I'll try to keep the cars a little lower so you can see. I'm shooting this with my iPad. I don't have proper cameras or anything to do, or mics or anything, so I'm using what I got. I'd like to do a few shout outs before we get going here today. Rudy Moons, some really good supporter, subscriber, comments daily. Thanks for the support, Rudy. I sure do appreciate it. Marky Wheels for Days, another strong supporter. Bootleg Ramen Noodle, thanks for your support, man. Red Dust Diecast Model, it's been a good strong supporter of the channel. Vinny Charity, David Zaderick, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. And then Freedom, another, we all love freedom. Hopefully we can hang on to it. But Freedom has been commenting a lot and supporting the channel. I sure do appreciate it. Kloss213, thanks for supporting the channel. So those are my shout outs right now. Let's get back to doing some weathering, huh? So I took the liberty of disassembling the cars and putting the license plates on and swapping the wheels, because that all takes a lot of time. And we're here to basically learn how to weather the vehicles. It's pretty much anybody who's worked on these cars already know how to take a screw out of an M2. And these are all M2s. I'm picking those because they're easy to work on right now. Compared to like a Greenlight or an Auto World or a Johnny Lightning, where they're riveted and you have to drill out the rivets. The M2s have screws, much easier to deal with. We're going to do 3 Camaros today. That's what we're going to do. Now, we're going to use weathering powder, and I have it in dark gray, medium gray, and a dusty brown. I bought this stuff like, I don't know, 5 years ago, and they're still about half full. So it goes a long ways. I use this on buildings too. The brand I'm using is made by Monroe Models, out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. Again, they're not a sponsor. www.monroemodels.us. If you just Google Monroe Models weathering powder, it should come up. You can get this at I bought this at my local train store. I'm sure, you could probably order it through me. I don't know if Walters carries it. Uh, I'm sure you can find it online. Just type it, Google it, put it in eBay or whatever. There's somebody selling it if there's nobody nearby. Of course, you want to go and support your local model train stores and model shops, hobby shops, and all that. So if they don't have it, check online. You'll be able to find it. Um, Now, the AK rusting and grime solutions, they're great. It's a great product. Again, not a sponsor, but it doesn't work really well on metal. I mean, it'll adhere to the metal, but you'll be able to rub it off with your thumb even after 24 hours. So, works great on plastic, great on wood. Metal, not so good. So we're not going to use that on here today. Uh, Now we're working with a fine powder, just some old paint brushes. Now, like those pads, little things that they use on for makeup, those little dabbers, those would work great also. But just, some old paint brushes work just fine. You want some with a little bit longer bristles, and something soft. You don't want a hard brush because a hard brush is really not going to pick up the dust as well. And another thing you want to do is put some kind of tray down. This powder stuff is very fine, gets everywhere, gets in your clothes, gets, on your fingers. You can already see I'm already accumulating a whole bunch. So you're going to want to have a tray. It'll catch any powder that falls down so you can reuse it. And it keeps your shop a little cleaner. Another thing you want to do is wear a mask, a dust mask when you're doing this stuff. And I'm going to put my dust mask up now. Hopefully that won't obscure my voice. But you really want to wear a dust mask with this stuff. This powder goes into the air, flies everywhere. If you don't wear a mask, you're going to be coughing and wheezing the rest of the day. Ask me how I know. I spent the other day coughing and wheezing. Not fun. So let's get started here. Let's pop the tops off of these so we can get at them. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, now I don't know if this stuff is available. I haven't checked. But this is made by Testers. It's an enamel paint marker, and it's rust colored. Now, I'm sure if Testers doesn't make this anymore, other companies do. But you know what you could do is just get an enamel. Just get a rust enamel. Go to your local hobby store, model store, whatever, and you want to use an enamel because you're using metal. You can use an acrylic, but enamel's going to stick better on metal than acrylic. So you can use a paintbrush. You can put, the rust on with a paintbrush. You can use this pen, like I'm using it. If you can find one. I've had this for I don't know, just a million years. So we're gonna take that chassis off. Now, I've explained before that I do rust in a Midwest style, so that we rust up. Other places, especially, you go down south, out west, places where there's a lot of sun, they rust from the top down. The top paint burns off, and then you get like a real even coating of rust. Where the northern states, Midwestern states, we use a lot of salt in the winter. Not so much nowadays, but back in the 60s and 70s, literally tons every year. And it was really common, for those of you who weren't around in the 60s and 70s and 80s, is we had a lot of rusty cars. You don't see so many cars nowadays that rust through. They tend to use a lot more corrosion resistant metals nowadays. Their way of treating the metals is different now, I think, but cars don't rust quite as bad unless you own like a Dodge Ram pickup truck, which those things seem to rust right out of the. They seem to rust right on the showroom floor nowadays. Um, so let's get rid of some of that excess paint here. We're just gonna dab with this thing, just a light, little dabs here and there. Just get that, rocker panel down here look like it's getting good and rusty. I'll get the wheel wells really good here, a little bit behind. I'll put some up here. You just go random with this. You can even put, a few dabs like on the door, where it got dinged and it rusted later. So we'll put a few dings here and there. Underneath the window, the rear window is usually a good place where a lot of cars rust out. So just put a few dabs there, especially Mopars. Now, you guys may think I don't like Mopars. I do. I really like Mopars. But they do have the tendency to rust. Of course, 1975 Chevys and other GMs really rust real bad too, for those who weren't around back then. I think it was like 74, 1975, somewhere in there. There was a big strike in the steel mills. So the auto manufacturers, especially GM, got foreign-made steel that wasn't very corrosion resistant. Now this has got like a fiberglass or a plastic nose, so we're not going to rust that, but we'll put a little rust on the bumper here. All right, so we'll put that one down, let that sit and dry. We'll move on to the next one. This one has opening doors. So let's get those doors open. It'll be a little easier to do this then. Now, I haven't done it on any of these cars yet because the weather, we just got some decent weather the last couple days to paint, but I've been busy with other things. But, you can always mask off quarter panels and mask off doors and take them and spray bomb them with a little bit of a primer, gray primer. And another thing you can do is if you got similar vehicles, if you have like several M2 Camaros like this that have opening doors, you could take the door off of one, put it on the other, so it's a mismatched. And I did that on some of the other cars that I worked on. If you notice from the last few days that we had that I posted, and we ended up, with several of the same cars. So like those Ford F100 trucks, I was able to swap doors and hoods. That sure makes a difference. I'm just going to put this rust nice and low. Good. Just dabbing here and there. It doesn't have to be perfect because, rust kind of appears more randomly than anything. And it's really standing out now. I don't know if you can see it that well, but the rust is standing out a bit. But that'll be covered up when we do the weathering powder. Oh, this one's going to be good. I thought I was going to have to unscrew the dash to get that interior out. So we're just going to keep doing it on this one. I'm trying to move a little quicker here. So no, this video is going to get long. But, you know, if you want to see how this is done, you know, this is how we do it. And there's really, you know, no pattern to this, but, you know, you want to kind of keep in mind how you want to rust the car based on, you know, what location you're working on. You know, like I said, if you're modeling cars that are in a Western junkyard, well, then you're going to want to basically take the paint, you know, you're going to want to burn the paint off the top of them, so to speak. So think about, you know, how cars in your neck of the woods, how they rust. Look at the patterns. Not so easy nowadays because a lot of cars that are old that you would look at to see where the rust patterns are either junked or getting turned into restoration pieces. So it's kind of hard to see that. So we're going to let all this dry. And we can start working on the interiors. Because you want the interior nice and dirty, right? I find the brown works pretty good on a lot. Sometimes I'll go gray. Depends on the color of the interior. I'm just going to dab that on. Put some gray in the back here. So you want to put it on, you know. On this stuff, you kind of want to go heavy at first. You know, you can always brush it off. Some of it's going to stick. And if you get into a position where you absolutely have to take it down, you know, get rid of it, you can take a wet cloth and get a lot of it, you know, or just take the piece and wash it with some soap, some dish soap. There we go. And a little, that'll also knock the shine off of that, which is what you want. You don't want it shiny, you know, unless you got a vinyl, you know, nice clean vinyl interior. You know, then you might want it a little shiny, but other than that, you know, a lot of these surfaces were fabric, but just a little bit of, you know, dirt on them, so to speak, kind of, you know, gives them a little texture, breaks up some of that shine. There we go, got that one. One more here. There we go. You can always blow on it or, you know, whatever to shake it, get a little of the excess off. So now, let's see here. How's our enamel doing? This stuff dries fairly quick. It looks pretty dry. It's a fairly quick drying stuff. So now we can start going and working on weathering the car. But before I do that, I'm going to put these one together. I'll put her back together here. So we're just going to set the interior in. Okay, so now little tiny screws, right? Where's my screwdriver? There it is. Little tiny, easily lost. little screws. I can't remember who, but one of the viewers, one of you guys recommended using a magnetized screwdriver, which will do the same thing as this. And actually a magnetized screwdriver would be a lot cleaner. I mean, you don't end up with a whole lot of wax on it, and it does wax off. It does come off pretty easily, so. If there's any residue on there, which there isn't right now. So let's put all these back together. You always want to make sure you know, oopsie. You always want to make sure you know where your screws are. So use a magnetic, like a dog dish thing for your screws, or, you know, just put them someplace where you know where they're at. And one more. Let's put the 67 back together. There we go. Oh, damn it. Lost my screw. Oh, there we go. We lost her now. There it is. All right, a little more wax. Kind of lost my wax there. Oh, damn. And the wax I'm using is sticky wax. The stuff's from Max, called Sticky Max. It works really awesome for putting your figures, making sure your figures can stand. I think I've heard it called museum wax too. Okay. All right. So, let's start rusting these bad boys, huh? So we're just going to put some, knock off the excess on the powder. And we're just going to start brushing that on there. Get some good on the tires, make them nice and dirty. You know, you can put as much as you want on or as little as you want. You know, it's always best to kind of layer it. Now, I don't know if you can see what the powder's doing to the paint, but it was a bit more orange when the paint, you kind of see it here, a little more orange, and the powder just kind of makes that color go to a nice rust color, and it takes the shine out of the paint, and it makes it look a whole lot like rust patches. Now, as far as windshields go, now this powder does stick. It is a self-adhering powder. So it will stick to windshields too. So if you don't want your windshields to be powdered up, you'll want to put some masking tape on the windshields. Either that or clean your windshields really well when you're done. I'm just gonna keep putting some more on here. And like I said, you got too much on, you can either take your brush, whip it off, take like a t-shirt, clean it off with a t-shirt pretty well. Maybe you don't want the windshield that dirty. Yeah, kind of watch where you handle it too once you get the powder on it. But you can always dab a little bit with this. You dab real light. Don't push down heavy because you'll polish it all the way down to the metal or all the way down to the paint. You'll make it shiny again. But if you got a little bit too much and you want to take some of that off, you just can use your cloth. There we go. There's one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have pictures after I sign off. Do the thanks everybody for subscribing. Give my usual plea for more subscribers. I got pictures already before, and I'll take pictures after, and I'll put them on the video at the end of the video so that you'll be able to see closer what it looks like. Because I know it's hard to see because right now the iPad is like 3 feet away from me, and it's not the greatest camera. So different things you can do to add to your cars as far as junky details. One thing is brake drums. Now I have these little brake drums. I didn't put any on these, but I've done them on some other cars. And I got brake drums, and then I have some discs with calipers. And you just, got to drill out for the whatever axle you're using. These things are great, and you can get them on eBay. And the seller's name is Improbable Garage. Okay, I'm going to pull my mask down so I can enunciate a little better. Improbable Garage. The guy that runs that, his name's Pixel Jankowski. He's a nice guy. I bought these from him. I bought a bunch of like car batteries and other detail pieces. Good guy to buy from. So check him out on eBay. Improbable Garage. Not a sponsor, but he's a nice guy. So that adds a lot to your detail of the car. Stuff like that. Like I said, swapping doors. So if you got extra doors, you can swap, or hoods or whatever, make it look real mismatched. But we're just basically doing a simple weathering job on these. So, let's go a little dark, huh? Let's get a little dark. You can see what it looks like when we use the dark stuff instead of the... And you're going to get the same, effect with the rust. The rust might be a little darker, coming out darker than it would with the brown, but oops. So they're just going to dab Okay, so we're just gonna clean off some of this excess a little bit. Hit that with the brush. I'm gonna put a bunch of brush marks in it, so we'll grab our t-shirt here. We're just gonna dab some of that off. There. Now, I didn't do it the other one, which I'll go back and do. I want to do the bottom too. Knock some of the shine off of it. There we go. Oops. All right, let's park that with the other one. Let's bring this other Camaro back. All right, let's work with this one. I'm just using the stuff off the table here, out of the tray. I don't know. I don't think any of these hoods open on these ones. That yellow one, maybe. It might open, but... swish some of this around in the engine compartment, and it'll dirty up that motor nicely. Now, you could also use this if you wanted like darken you wanted like maybe go into a grill and add some depth. It also works good on wheels too, you know, where if you don't really want to make them real dirty, but you want to add a little contrast, you just put it on light, you know, take off the excess, you know, dab it off or whatever with your rag, and you can do it that way. I'm just kind of hurrying with this because I know this video is getting long. If I was doing this just myself without the video rolling, I'd probably take a little bit more time. I'm just dabbing, you know, I'm just going up and down with this. I'm not running it across. I'm just kind of blotting off the extra. Because if you wipe, you stand a chance of like taking it all the way, like I said, you're going to take it all the way down to the metal or all the way down to the shiny painted stuff. So there we go. There's the third one. So like I said, I'm going to take pictures of these after we're done. And going to take some pictures, after pictures. And so after this, there'll be, there'll be before and after pictures of the cars. And I'll also include the ones that I did yesterday for the video that failed, so you can see what they looked like. And that's about it as far as things are going. I do got a little news on my project. I'm trying to work out a deal right now with a guy that's supplying me with a major part of my project parts. And since I don't have any money right now, he's going to do a trade with me, hopefully. Um, I have a lot of extra die casts because I saved. Usually, when I buy one car, I'll buy two, the same one, sometimes even three, so I could weather one or customize one. So I always have a big stash of die-cast cars that I haven't even opened yet. Um, I didn't want to get rid of them, but I gotta figure out some ways to finance this stuff. So, um, anyways, he's so far agreed to do a trade. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I can do that, and that way I can get this new project sorted out, and then I can show you guys and let you enjoy it because I think it's going to be really cool. At least I hope it is because I got a lot of time and relative money invested in it already. At least a lot of money for me. So, anyways, what else we got going on with that? That's about it. So please subscribe, share, comment. I do appreciate all my viewers and subscribers and supporters. And stay tuned. We're going to have some pictures coming up right after I go and turn the camera off. So we will see you soon. We're probably going to do these just about every day for a while until I run out of cars and or weathering materials, whichever one comes first. I do have a lot of cars. I was going to do some other customs, and so when I do those, like wheel swaps, I'm going to jack up some cars like we had them in the 70s, and we will. I will show you guys how I do them. I got a bunch of the details painted, all those details that you guys saw that I had prepped and put on boards ready to paint. I managed to get out the other day because we have a little bit warmer weather right now. Today's supposed to be in the 70s, but it's really windy, so it's not a good paint day. But the other night it was warm enough. It was in the 50s, and the wind was calm for a change. So we were able to. I was able to get things painted. So all right, stay tuned for the pictures, and we'll see you soon. I did forget one thing, and that's the use of dull coat after you get done painting or weathering with the weathering powder, because this stuff does stick, but it will come off on your fingers if you touch the car. So I strongly recommend using a clear coat, preferably a matte. You don't really want to go gloss because then you're just going to have shiny dirt, which isn't going to look right. And so I find Tester's dull coat to be pretty good stuff. I'm out of it right now. I just got some coming in. It should be shipped here next week. So I'll be able to use the dull coat and um, fix the powder onto the cars. So stay tuned. There's pictures coming up.